Here's your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, the franchise guide.
Do you ever realize that the people that want to make, like, they're like, I need to make this much money first year, they're in a worker mindset.
Yeah.
They don't have a business mindset. So I was having a conversation with someone. It just clicked to me when you said that I was like, oh, have you worked with a franchise consultant in the past? And he was like, yes. I was like, okay, great. Tell me a little bit about what you looked at. And he was really attached to what the business was as opposed to what it can do for him. And he was thinking like, oh, I'm going to do this every day, or like basically trying to buy himself a job. Like one of those businesses where it's literally like, you might as well clock in at this point, right? And I was like, well, I'll tell you one thing. I was like, I'm not necessarily obsessed with this, but I have a business and I'm able to travel and I have a lot of flexibility. I was like, why do you care so much what it is when you're going to have it running to the point where you don't even need to be there?
Right.
And he was like, oh, it's a mindset shift. And then other things people say that I'm like, that's a red flag. And it's okay. Some people are meant to work for others for life, but they're like, oh, if the business works,
Right.
like
That's
if
a
I'm
poor
gonna get
choice.
into business, I honestly could do a poop scooping business. I will make it work. That's
Yeah.
not an option. If
Yeah.
the business works, then I can finally leave my job. Sorry, you're a loser. I just feel like that. Like if you either are a winner and like you're gonna go out and get it, or you're not. And if you're not ready, that's cool. I still need to hire people, and you could,
Yeah.
there's a place for everyone, but it has to be like, and you just have to be able to run through walls to make things happen. And if you can't, then I know that they're not going to be the right fit for a franchise.
Agreed. You're going in with the wrong mindset, and kind of piggyback what you were saying. When people buy a franchise, it seems as if they expect it to say, okay, whether I'm going to run it full time or part time, I'm going to make that investment, and the business is just going to run on its own.
Yeah.
And I go, no, this is just, as a franchisor, this is a model. We're creating this system for you to follow, for you to execute. It's
Yeah.
not for you to set it and forget it. I always say you make the investment, and then it's, what is that? The Ron Popeil sausage machine I remember from years ago. Set it and forget it, and the franchisor is running the system. If that's the case, you don't need the franchisee
Yeah.
if you're doing all the work. So that's the whole point of the system. There is success, there are going to be failures, but where I see people failing is they're undercapitalized and they don't follow the system. They don't use the marketing. They don't use the lead gen. They don't follow the systems in place. So that's what I've seen.
I also think it depends, like, so the mindset around like the business making it happen. So we were having this conversation earlier, but I can understand the mindset of like, I bought this new franchise in a new industry and it's not working. And I believe the model doesn't work. So for example, if a
Right.
franchise brand created a new space or a new service or a new way of, building a haircut place or something, and then it's like, no, this model's not working.
Right.
I can understand that mindset, but I know, and for me, and being in the cleaning restoration space, I'll go to RIA in a couple of weeks, which is the Restoration Industry Conference, and they'll be doing tremendous numbers that don't even have a college degree or even let alone a GID. And so restoration works, like the model works, and you can do a Voda or Puro Clean or Paul Davis, and at the end of the day, like there's only so much
Right.
is being done there. We're not recreating the wheel. When you buy into a franchise, you're buying into the culture, the training, the brand, the systems, but it's not a like make or break. And so
Right.
whether someone drives a Voda, think of Voda as a Mercedes, right? Or they drive a Puro Clean as a BMW, or they drive Resto Pros
Resto Pros,
as a, what's another nice car? A
Lexus.
Lexus, right? Whether they drive one of those cars and get to the destination is not going to be because of Mercedes, BMW, or Lexus. It's going to be because the driver. If they crash, it's not because it was a BMW or,
Right.
or Mercedes. It was the driver driving the car. And so I always say that when people are looking at Voda, like, for example, comparative to other home service brands, or especially when they're looking at restoration, like you're going to succeed or not based on Voda. Like
Right.
it's going to be you. It's just going to be how fast and how far you go is going to be which brand you choose as far as the restoration companies, or like how much easier it is. And I tell that to people all the time. I remember one time someone said to me to try to persuade me to do something. They said, you're not going to ever be able to get to XYZ point without this.
Right.
And that was the wrong answer. The right answer was, you're going to be able to get to this place. It's going to be a hell of a lot harder. It's going to take you a hell of a lot longer. Right. And so I say that to people looking at Voda. I don't think like you're going to buy a franchise, and if you didn't buy a franchise, you just won't succeed. It's just going to be a lot harder. It's going
Right.
to take a lot longer. Yes, the stats are a lot lower too, But I think when people get into the business and then it doesn't succeed and they blame the franchise, it's kind of deferral of accountability. But last thing I'll say as a franchisor, we have to look in the mirror too.
Mhm.
Because anytime I have a franchisor not succeeding, it's like, what is wrong on our end? Or like, what was wrong in expectations? Like, what could have been improved? We can't just blame it. That's a problem with franchising. The franchise owner blames the franchisor and the franchisor blames them, and then no one's taking accountability.
And it's a team effort. This is it's a marriage. It's usually a 10-year agreement. I would say 5 to 20 years. Usually the average is about 10 years. If I'm wrong, correct me. But that's what I've heard. So 10 years. So okay, if that you're struggling in certain area, it may just be one thing. It just may your salesperson needs retraining. Maybe it's the quality of leads. Maybe it's a combination. But working with the franchisor, that's it's a partnership. It's a long-term relationship. Figure out what's working, what's not working, what can we do better. And I think that's a part of it. Not working. Like I've talked to people before that are struggling and they've never had a conversation with the franchisor, and I go, well, what the hell are you waiting for? What do you mean? Like you're getting support from them. There's trainings and all that. But if you're struggling, that's the first call you should make is to that coach, the accountability person, whatever they're called at each of the companies. But to me, that sounds like common sense, but sometimes people need to be reminded.
Why is that though? I know what you mean. It's like you're struggling, but you don't reach out, or you don't want to get on the coaching
Right.
calls. It's like the support's there. You got to tap into it. I think it's unrealistic, like to expect the franchisor is just going to like fly in an airplane every time and come see you. Like,
Sure.
why not? Why not get on the phone with them, or why not fly in an airplane to them
Right.
and meet with them and say like, can I take a day with you? Can I come up to your flagship location? I don't hear that anywhere near as much as you would think. Like, hey, I'm struggling. Can I come shadow?
Right.
And then the other thing I see, and again, this is just all franchises, is the people that are struggling end up, congregating with the other people that are struggling instead of saying, who's top in the system? Who can I reach out to? You know what I mean? Like, you
Birds
don't
of
want
a
to,
feather flock together type of thing.
what is it called?
Like birds of a feather flock together, like the miserable, like
Misery loves company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And top producers are too busy really to jump in and say
Right.
anything. So all of a sudden, the loudest in the room are the people that are struggling. And so it's like, how do you get more engagement that way?
That's a good question. Why they're not reaching out is something I've just have not been able to figure out. Are they upset? Are they bitter? Do they, I don't know what it is. I don't know why they wouldn't reach out, but you would think that would be common sense. But maybe it's you really can't make certain. You can only do so many things that are mandatory, right? They're their own business owner. They have to run their own business, but it's almost like submit your profit loss. Maybe that's the thing. Something is off in the P&L. Where we can work on it together. But I've never heard of a franchisor saying, no, we're too busy or we won't help you. They're more than welcome.
I
I
think
have heard that.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Too busy to
The
support?
complainers, like they basically blacklist them.
Oh,
The
because it's
people that
because it's yeah.
complain in the system, it happens that they do
I mean,
that.
that's definitely unacceptable, right? Because at the end of the day, like they have an agreement to support the franchisee, and they should be doing that. I think about playing devil's advocate, and I was the franchise owner that's struggling.
Right.
We're saying why would they not reach out? I think if you keep reaching out and the franchisor is not listening to you, would you keep reaching out?
Right.
If you know that there's, so I think it's this middle ground. Like I'll give you an example with Voda. We do a really great job listening to our franchise owners, to the point that we actually crossed over a line that was not okay, which was, hey, we listened to you and your feedback for 45 minutes, but the second I try to give you any feedback, everything's perfect.
Right.
I actually just had this conversation with a franchise owner recently, which was, if you're struggling and doing everything perfectly, which is chance of that is literally zero, then we're in a lot of trouble, right? Because if there's nothing to fix, then I don't know what to do. But if you want to come to the call with solutions, and we're happy to hear where we can improve too. But if you're going to come to the call where you're completely perfect and there's nothing to solve in your business, and we're only the ones that are wrong, that's not a productive, kind of mindset. And again, if you're not succeeding and you're doing everything right, that's a big problem. Chances of that is zero. No one's doing their business right. You know what I mean?
Your ego is not your amigo.
Yeah, like if you've never been in
There you
business
go.
and you're in your first year of business, like it's not fair to expect you're going to be the best business owner ever, and that's okay. But yeah, the ego gets in the way. Same for franchisors, their ego gets in the way because they start to think, well, like we've been doing this for so long, We actually have we call it like a commandment, but one of our franchisor commandments is they could be right.
Right.
Which is an idea that like that franchise owner could be right. Let's make sure we're actually listening to them. But then we expect them to also listen.
Accountability is a two-way street. But beyond mindset, what are the operational traps, especially with semi-absentee ownership, and the crucial skills needed for managing teams and making tough personnel decisions?
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn how to make the transition from corporate to owning your franchise, join Giuseppe on the next episode. You can also follow on all social media platforms and achieve financial and time freedom today.